Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our final lesson of Unit 2 to Lesson 2.4. As a reminder, students are developing their habits of reflection. In Lesson 2.4, students are going to explore alternatives and choose among options by weighing the implications that different courses of action may have for various stakeholders. So they're going to be thinking a lot about what steps it takes to get to certain outcomes, and being mindful of those steps and what their goals for those outcomes would be. So for this lesson, you're going to need the You Be the Judge worksheet, which is at the end of the lesson here, as well as this I Believe profiles. These are essays from NPR, and they're linked here and in this specific activity. And we'll get into those, and I'll show you what it looks like on their website as we get into the specifics of the lesson. First, let's go over an overview of the different assignments and different activities in the lesson, and then we'll get into the details of each specific part of the lesson. So first up, I'm going to have an overview, which is really just going to be a brief overview of these 5 terms here so that they can make sure that everybody's on the same page when we're talking about things like short-term goals or obstacles or outcomes. The bulk of the class is going to be students working on and then discussing the You Be the Judge handout. That's going to take up most of the time in class. And then finally, you're going to explain the homework for students, which includes the This I Believe episode. So in the opener, again, you're going to review these 5 terms. You're going to talk about short-term goals, something that you hope happens soon, probably within the next month. Career goals, like long-term career hopes that you have. As you'll see here as an example, how you'll know when you've achieved success. And if you did get to the activity from a couple of lessons ago about success, when students were pushed a bit about, what do you believe success means? What does it mean to be successful in your career? And how do you know when you get there? Those should have a little bit more of a nuanced response when they're talking about their career goals and what success means to them. Obstacles or challenges that get in the way of achieving your goals or of doing good work. We've been talking a lot about obstacles over the last 3 lessons, so this shouldn't be anything new to students. They should be pretty comfortable with this. Strategies are the methods or tools that you use to overcome those obstacles. And then outcomes, which are the consequences and the results of the decisions that were made in the situation. So all of these terms you'll go over together and kind of explain how they all are connected to one another. Second, you're going to have students do the You Be the Judge activity. So first you'll have students read the dilemma on the handout alone at their desks, and then they're going to break up into groups of 3 to 4, and they're going to fill out the comic strip for Allison. So this lets them, Allison is, if you read the dilemma, she's a high school student who's working on a science experiment, but she's not allowed to use live animals. And so her decision, even though she really wants to use live animals in her experiment, she's not allowed to. So should she lie about it and use them or not? And what are the consequences of the decisions that she makes? How does that play out? So students will fill out that comic strip. Then they're going to answer the questions on the handout together as a group. Take about 20 to 25 minutes for all of that, for them to read the dilemma, get into their groups, fill out the comic strip together, and answer those questions on the handout. And after that 20, 25 minutes, you're going to have everybody come back together, and they're going to compare those answers to questions 3 and 4, which you find again on the handout here. 3 and 4. Where in number 4 they get they get to know what actually happened with Allison. So that's kind of fun. And you're going to take about 10, 15 minutes to discuss this dilemma and this activity as a class. And here are some discussion questions that you can use when presenting to the class. And finally, you're going to assign homework to the students. So students are going to pick one of the essays on the This I Believe essay from NPR. And this is what the link looks like. It's a special series, and there are just a ton of different opinion pieces, different narratives from many different people in many different arenas, many different fields that they can choose from, whichever one they connect to. And so they're going to read one of them where the narrator describes a challenge or dilemma that they encountered and what they did about it. What's their story? And then students are going to create their own narrative describing that figure's short-term goals, their career goals, their obstacles or challenges to achieving those goals, and what strategies they did to overcome those challenges, as well as what outcomes resulted or could result if the final wasn't given in the essay. As with other lessons in this unit, you can give them more than just a written assignment for this. They can write a song, they can do a presentation, they can do a skit, a graphic organizer, whatever you're comfortable with as a teacher and they're comfortable with as a student. It's really about them seeing those ideas connected, those terms that we talked about in the opener, connect all together. And when they're thinking about a story, to break it down and use those lenses as they're analyzing the story. So that is it for the final lesson for this unit. After each unit, you will notice that in the lesson plans, students are given the opportunity to do a self-assessment. And this is a great time for students to reflect themselves explicitly on, what were the goals for the last 4 classes that we were working on? What should I be getting out of this unit? And how did I do with that? How did my work in class and at home get me to the goals of this unit? And so students can fill this out and add this to their portfolio. And again, it's all part of teaching students those habits of reflection. And this is a big part of it by having them do that student self-assessment at the end of the unit. So that wraps up Unit 2. We hope you enjoy this activity and that your students enjoy this activity. We've heard from many that this is a really fun one and that students get really excited about it. So we hope that's the case for your class. And as always, feel free to adapt this for your students, your class, your location, whatever makes sense for you. We would love to hear from you, from your own experience working with these materials. And we hope that you have fun with your students and with your class on this one.